and I am happy to get us started. I appreciate your patience and giving everyone a chance to join. My name is Christy Splitt. I'm the Government Relations Coordinator at the Oregon Department of Energy, and I'm here today to moderate our conversation. Today, we're going to discuss the Oregon Solar and Storage Rebate Program. This program offers rebates to residential customers and low-income service providers who install solar or solar and paired energy storage systems. This webinar will be recorded, and the slides in the recording will be posted to Odo's website after we talk today. We'll start with introducing some of the other staff who work at Odo, specifically who work on this program, and I'll start with James, who will lead today's conversation. Turning it over to you, James.
Hi, thanks, Christy. My name is James Kogel, and I'm a policy analyst here at the Oregon Department of Energy. I work across several of the agency's incentive programs aimed at increasing energy efficiency or the installation of renewable energy. Thanks.
Thanks, James. Next, I'll turn it over to Pandian and then to Dale and Katie. Pandian, do you want to say hello?
Yes. Hello, my name is Pandian Krishnaswamy. I'm Energy Incentives Manager at Oregon Department of Energy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Pandian. And then Dale and then Katie. And Dale and Katie are the two folks that are sort of the front lines of this program with our contractors and others.
Hi, my name is Dale Varing. I am a solar rebate assistant.
Thanks. And Katie?
You're muted.
Sorry, folks. Hi, I'm Katie with the Solar and Storage Rebate Program, and I'm also an assistant.
Great. Thanks so much for the work that you two do and being kind of the customer service experience that I know you both provide. Really appreciate it. All right, so moving on to slide 2. In case you aren't familiar with our agency, I wanted to start with just some brief information about what we do. Our agency helps Oregonians make informed decisions and maintain a reliable, resilient, and affordable energy system. We advance solutions to shape an equitable clean energy transition, protect the environment, public health, and responsibly balance energy needs and impacts for current and future generations. You'll see on this slide the 5 broad focus areas of our work, and that includes energy programs and activities like the Oregon Solar and Storage Rebate Program. Next slide, please. Today, we'll start with some logistics for the webinar before James provides an outline of the program and an update on changes to the program from the recent legislative session. James will then give a quick overview of the administrative rulemaking process before presenting the proposed administrative rule concepts that we'll be discussing today and hopefully moving forward in the near future with your input and changes according to what we hear from all of you. There will be time for questions and for comments at the end. Though we're fitting, I'll grab raised hands or questions and comments from the chat. So we'll go on to the next slide. A quick note on expectations today. Most of the people that are on this call are attendees. That's you that are here to give your input. Thanks so much for being here. And then the panelists are all Department of Energy staff, in case you're wondering how that works. And if you're an attendee, it means you need to raise your hand to participate and I'll talk or participate via the chat, and I'll share how to do that in just a minute. We also just provide some basic community agreements because we want to make sure that we foster an inclusive and respectful meeting. So mostly, I guess, just kind of the bottom line on this is just being flexible and patient if there's any technology issues, being respectful of others. And I'll also just flag that Patricia Phillips in the chat will be the person that can help with any logistics issues. Patricia, really appreciate all of your behind the scenes work in making this webinar and lots more at our agency happen. With that, we'll go to the next slide, please. We know WebEx is sometimes unfamiliar to folks. If you're new to the platform, I just wanted to make sure you take a minute to familiarize yourself with how to raise your hand. And interestingly, we found that sometimes what people see in WebEx is different for each person. So we put forward a slide here that's what we think it might look like for you. Mine's a little different, for example. There's a little sort of raised fist that is meant to be like the raised hand button that's down next to a little smiley face for me. Some people have to click the smiley face to get the little raised fist hand. to learn how to raise your hand. And then you might also want to open up the chat so that you can see how that works. For me, the chat is like a little, on this one, the chat's already visible. For me, I have to open it. It's like a little quote box or a little quote, like call out on a comic strip. So take a second and make sure that you understand how to engage via WebEx as an attendee. Again, you'll have to raise your hand or use the chat to participate. And if you'd be willing to just take a second, I'll wait 10 seconds to give people a chance to let us know if they're having any issues. And then we'll move on to the next slide. And before I turn it over to James, just really quickly, I didn't see any questions, although how would you let us know if you can't raise your hand or chat? And that just occurred to me as a serious fallacy in my plan. But I did just want to quickly say that we encourage you to put in your questions or comments as we go into the chat, and I can come back and share those during the conversation or also grab any raised hands. So just know that just feel free to go ahead and participate throughout this webinar. And with that, I'll turn things over to James. Thanks.
Thanks, Christy. So I thought we'd begin with a brief outline of the program. The Oregon Solar and Storage Rebate Program provides rebates in order to reduce the upfront costs to the customer for the purchase and installation of solar electric systems and paired solar and storage systems. The program requires evidence that the full amount of the rebate is passed on to the customer, and only approved contractors are able to access the reservation system and submit rebate reservation requests. For residences, the system must be installed on real property in Oregon, and for residential customers, the customer must be the owner occupant of the residence. Low-income service providers are also eligible. These are non-residential customers and include specific affordable housing. The owners of systems that benefit affordable housing, community service organizations who serve low or moderate income individuals, or tribal or local government entities providing services to low or moderate income individuals, or who provide emergency shelter or communications in disaster situations. Examples of organizations that have received funding include Habitat for Humanity chapters, Boys and Girls Club chapters, affordable housing organizations. House Bill 3409 extended the sunset of the Oregon Solar Plus Storage Rebate Program to January 2nd, 2029. That's the end of session. Bill also included an additional investment of $10 million in the program. Existing language in the Oregon laws required that a contractor purchase, construct, and install a paired solar and storage system together. House Bill 3409 amended the language and requires that only the purchase need occur at the same time, while installation may occur separately. The solar electric system and energy storage system must still be paired once fully installed. This change will go into effect at the start of 2024, and we're doing some rulemaking process right now to kind of update our rules following this change so that we can be prepared in the new year. Are there any questions on?
Yeah, we do have a question in the chat. Perfect timing as we head into talking about the proposed rules. Angela Crowley-Cook from the Oregon Solar and Storage Industries Association is wondering if there's been any changes to the proposed rules since the last webinar.
So no, there's been no changes to the proposed rule amendments from the first webinar. We will kind of just provide some additional background information where we've had questions. So for instance, we're able to provide an outline of the program, and yeah, there's no actual changes to what we're proposing to change in the rules from the first webinar.
I don't see any other hands raised with questions about the program as it's designed or with the legislation changed. So
Okay. Great, thanks. So a quick high-level summary of the rulemaking process. So we typically start off with stakeholder consultation, and after considering all the feedback and drafting the rules, based on that feedback, we file them with the Secretary of State. This kicks off another comment period during which we seek additional feedback on the draft rule language and its impacts. We review and consider all this information and then finalize the rules and then file those final rules with the Secretary of State. Only then will the rules become effective. This process can take a varying length of time, and for this rulemaking, we anticipate it taking approximately 4 to 6 months, but that may change. So we're proposing changing the definition of paired solar and storage system to align with the recent legislative changes. This will just reflect what the legislation says. This will require only the purchase of a paired solar and storage system to occur at the same time. The installation may be done separately. The requirement that the solar electric system and energy storage system be purchased together is a requirement established in the legislation. The legislation does not allow for a storage-only rebate for people interested in adding storage to existing systems. We had heard that there were delays associated with the shipping and installation of storage, and want to hear whether they are still occurring and which of the options would be most effective at reducing the impact of those delays. The options being considered include permitting the solar incentive portion of the rebate to be claimed separately from the storage portion following installation of the solar system and proof of its completion. This would include passing inspections from the authority having jurisdiction. This would also mean tweaks to how the rebates are processed in PowerClerk, the software contractors use to place reservation requests. The reservation would continue to count as one of the contractor's reserved projects until completion of the storage portion of the reservation. Another option would be to extend the time that a reservation for paired solar and storage is valid for. This would allow time for the storage to be installed. And a third option could be to increase the number of reservations a contractor can have at a time for systems for residential customers who are not low or moderate income. This could allow a contractor to have reservations waiting on installation of storage and have greater capacity to reserve rebates for other systems. Are there any questions on this potential rule change?
Looks like Angela has a hand up and she is now off mute.
Question, but a comment. Really appreciate Odo thinking through these 3 possibilities. And in thinking about it since the last webinar, the first one seems like the best idea to me, followed by, I guess, A seems like the best idea, followed by B. I think C could make things pretty confusing for contractors because there are already caps and there's concerns about funds running out in that non-income restricted bucket. So I just wanted to let you all know about how C is feeling about those options. Thanks.
Thank you so much for letting us know, Angela. And one thing I just wanted to also flag, we had a comment here regarding printing about getting a coherently printable list of the contractors. We have that list in Excel. And so if you don't have Excel on your computer, I could see how that could be an issue. So I did put the link that's in Excel, but it's from C. Darylin. If you don't have Excel, maybe we could explore getting it to you in PDF or something. So feel free to send a direct message to me in the chat with your email address and I can see if we can get it to you in PDF or something. Let's see. Audrey, hi Audrey from PGE, is saying that she'd love to see the ability to allow rebates for adding energy storage to existing solar. That would require a statutory change. So just a flag on limitation there, unless I'm like 100% sure I'm right. But yeah, so not something we can take care of during the rulemaking process. And then And then, yeah, I see your notes, Erilyn, on the PDF. So we'll see if we can find you. No. And then I don't see any other hands up or any other comments in the chat right now related to this page. You want to move on?
Okay, thank you. So other proposals that we're putting forward include the increasing the number of low or moderate income residential customer or low income service provider reservations a contractor can have at a time from 20 to 25. We're also proposing to increase the amount of time a reservation for a low income service provider can be extended. Currently it's 1 year with a possible extension of 180 days, and we're proposing to change that to 1 year reservation with a possible extension of an additional year. This was due to feedback that low-income service provider projects have been delayed due to supply chain and workforce constraints. An additional rule change being proposed is to reduce the residential rebate rate for customers who are not eligible for a utility incentive and are not low or moderate income. Currently it's 50 cents per watt, and we're proposing to reduce that down to 30 cents per watt. We would maintain the current rate of 20 cents per watt for those eligible for utility incentive. Since the program was established, the average utility incentive received by a residential customer has reduced by more than $1,000, so resulting in the need to kind of adjust those rates offered to customers who are eligible for utility incentive in comparison to those that are not eligible for a utility incentive. ODO is also proposing to remove language in rules that was written when the program was first established and relates to the original budget timeline, and replace it with more general budget language that removes dates but maintains the same allocations. Any questions on this rule change and ways to implement it?
While people are thinking about that, and we did get a chat on the last slide a little bit after I told you to move on. And the question that I'm getting is, what's the purpose of having solar and storage purchased at the same time versus just having storage paired with solar? And I think it kind of gets at Audrey's question from PGE as well.
So I think that is the program was kind of set up as either kind of the energy solar electric system or paired system. We've heard that the delays are in terms of kind of that supply chain issues, and so kind of maintaining the initial program form while accounting for those delays to the supply chain.
Yeah, I think what they're getting at might be also the kind of underlying premise of the program that you have to have solar and storage installed together. You can't just add storage to an existing solar. And we do have some of the bill proponents are on the line and might go ahead and raise their hand if they'd prefer to answer this question after they hear my attempt. But I think that, oh, she's just raising her hand now. So maybe I just won't even attempt. But the solar contractors, who are led by the Oregon Solar and Storage Industries Association, they're the ones who, working with legislators, proposed this legislation, and they can maybe share why it's drafted that way. Thanks, Angela.
Yeah,
You're on.
this is Angela Crowley-Cook from OSIA. The reason why we proposed having the incentive only go to those who are purchasing solar and storage is to really incentivize those folks who hadn't been able to kind of get into the solar and storage area at all without these incentives. And people that already have solar are most likely more financially available to get solar without this added incentive. And I know that PGE and hopefully soon PacifiCorp will be working on storage incentives. So, and I think those are available to anybody. So I think that's a good pairing.
Audrey from PGE asked if Energy Trust counts as a utility incentive. It does. We are sort of imminently expecting the Energy Trust of Oregon to announce that their non-income restricted solar incentives will be sunsetting in the near future or in the future, so that utility incentive may not be on offer for Energy Trust consumers that aren't low to moderate income. And that makes sense. And I think this time we do have Energy Trust of Oregon on the line, which I wish I would have known in advance. I forgot that we just didn't have you all last time. So if you wanted to speak to that, feel free to raise your hand and we can talk about that. But just wanted to share that that's why they're reducing the making some of the changes is what makes sense to some folks. So we got a question about where does one go to read the new rules. My understanding is that they're not posted yet. They're not final. We're just giving a preview today so that we can put together those rules, having heard from our contractors and other members of the public. And then
that's right. I was going to say there is a draft, like an outline of the proposals, not the actual draft rule language, but the proposals are on the Odo rulemaking webpage, and I can find a link to that and pop it in the chat.
Thanks. And then James, I don't see any other hands raised, or yeah, somebody already took care of the finding the rulemaking docs for you. Thanks, Angela. And we don't have any other questions at this point. Oh, wait. When the rules are ready to be read, what is their address? The link, Darylyn, I think is Darylyn, the link that you are asking about is the one that Angela posted. That's where they'll be. All right, but I think with that, you can go ahead. And at this point, you don't have to ask questions or make comments related to kind of exactly what we were just talking about on the slide in front of you. You're free to share comments on anything related to the program, ask questions, whatever you would like to bring up here during this kind of open comment period. Let's see. So we got asked, what's the purpose of the reservation cap and why are we increasing it? Do you want to share that again, James? Or maybe go into some more detail?
So yeah, the reservation cap is just like a cap on contractors that you can only have 20 reservations for one contractor at a time within non-income restricted residential customers, and then 20 more for low moderate income residential customers and low income service providers. And it was maybe the initial intent behind those caps was to ensure that no one contractor was necessarily kind of monopolizing the program, and that we were able to kind of distribute funds across the state. So that's kind of where it is, and we're looking at trying to increasing that cap in the low moderate income side of the program, just to kind of increase access if there was a limitation based upon the cap to those contractors. We don't typically see a lot of contractors capping out on the low moderate income side of the reservation, and we want to just kind of ensure that that isn't kind of a limiting factor for low moderate income customers and low income service providers accessing the program.
Great. Thanks, James. Hopefully that helps with the answer to that question. Shall we You're off mute. I know you also went ahead in the chat, but go ahead, you're off mute.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think this is a really great program in terms of solar and storage, and I was really excited about when it was first released a couple years ago. The unfortunate thing is, I took a deep dive into trying to, I'm just a resident in Southwest Portland. I tried to get solar and storage installed at my house in Southwest Portland. And at that time, Tesla had been a contractor, one of the approved contractors, but since quit at the time that I was exploring solar and storage. And what I found was that all the local Portland area contractors were anywhere from 25 to 30% higher than the most price competitive bid, which was Tesla. And when I looked at the numbers, that difference was really still there even after accounting for the incentive. And so, I messaged James Kogel this, but I think that many contractors, at least when I was looking for solar and storage, did not use the incentive to reduce the cost to the consumer when you look at it from the macro scale in terms of like what's the most price competitive, and therefore did not pass on savings to customers. What ended up happening was that the bids would go the kind of much higher than kind of a price competitive bid of a non-participating contractor, and that price was brought down to marginally competitive using the incentive. And so I guess what I'm saying is that I'm not really surprised that this is happening because of just how involved industry lobby is in creating not only the bill itself, but involved in the rulemaking. I think a more customer-centric way would be for the incentive to follow customers who can then use that incentive to shop around. Obviously, that's not how the bill is written, and that's not under the purview of the rulemaking. But I do think there is space in rulemaking to ensure to make sure that these funds are being used and passed on to improve access to solar and storage for customers. But again, I think right now, if you were to do an audit of approved systems and kind of what's available in terms of price competitive solar and storage, you'll see that many contracts are not passing savings on to customers. They're just basically padding the bottom line of these contracts, which as a end user, I found disappointing. And as a taxpayer, I find slightly unethical. So I just wanted to provide that testimony because, it got kind of this dismissive email from James Cole saying that, that it really wasn't under the purview of the rulemaking, but process to kind of, but, in terms of that comment, but I think it is, again, because, the legislative imperative is these funds should be to reduce the overall cost of solar and storage for the end customer. And again, my experience is that it has not been that way.
Well, I really appreciate you coming and sharing that perspective today. I think we take it seriously that we want to ensure that what you're talking about is not happening to the extent we can within the constraints of the existing law, which sounds a little like, I don't love saying that, but I'd have to look to see what we can do. I will say that there's new solar dollars coming from the federal government, and there's new dollars for energy efficiency. And those grants applications so far have sort of included asking us what our plans are to make sure that that's not what's happening, because it is a major concern that folks could take advantage of the program to increase their bottom lines versus reducing costs for customers. So it's definitely something we have on our minds, and I really appreciate you bringing it up today. And I'll add, if anyone else has anything they want to add, go for it. But I think that we're listening, we hear you. And as we look at the rules, we can see if there's anything there that we can change or tweak on that front.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And just to hammer home the point, had the incentive actually been effective at what it purported to do, I would have solar and storage installed at my house. Instead, I don't. And so at least there's an N of one resident taxpayer potential customer who, I'm savvy enough where I know where I'm not getting a good deal. And when I got bids that span from, $40,000 up to $100,000 for the same solar and storage system, I know that there are some contractors who are taking advantage of the system. And it was disappointing to see just how prevalent that problem was. So thank you.
I will just say that Garrett, there's somebody named Garrett who keeps chatting to like either privately or now he's to all panelists. So he has a note for you. I'm just gonna put it in chat, everyone. He's saying he'd love to discuss with you offline. I think he might be a contractor, I'm not sure. Okay. Garrett also asked if there have been any discussions on removing the cap, not to pivot too much, but going back to that question. There were discussions about removing the cap. I think that lower volume contractors had concerns about that. And that's my understanding, that it remains sort of an area where there wasn't like, so by moving the needle, but still keeping the reservation cap might help preserve that balance that allows for the more mom and pop shops to continue to utilize the program. And James, feel free to weigh in if I'm misstating what we heard. Some of our smaller contractors that had a concern there. Garrett, no need to unmute, and good luck with the kiddo. You're doing great. I'm using the chat. So I will just read aloud what's in the chat in case that's not accessible to everyone. I know we've got a couple folks on the phone. From the industry perspective, this is from Angela Crowley-Cook at OSEA. Solar contractors know that not everyone is participating in the rebate program, and they need to be cost competitive. And so it seems unlikely that they'd use the rebate to pad their bottom line. In addition, the Energy Trust keeps track of the cost to install solar in Oregon, and they did not see an increase in costs when the rebate was introduced. So perhaps that's helpful evidence. I don't know much about the Tesla situation, so I can't maybe explain why they're more affordable than others, but it could also be related to them just being cheaper. But I don't know the answer. But I just wanted to at least share what OSEA had to say there. And how you saying the solar market is very opaque, and even a cost-conscious engineer/physician had a hard time comparing apples to apples. I hear that. I work with the Oregon Department of Energy and spend a lot of time thinking about how to make everything easier on consumers. And overall, it's just an interesting, and like with energy efficiency too, it's just interesting and challenging. We helped pass a bill during session to create sort of a one-stop shop on energy efficiency for now, where a bunch of federal funding is coming into the state to help make it easier for folks. And I'd love to see that expand to renewable energy too down the road, to provide some sort of tips. And there's a lot of really good information at the Energy Trust website too. I don't see any hands up, and I don't see any more chats for now. There's an ETO report on the cost of solar trends in Oregon that somebody put a link to in the chat. And if that's helpful for that conversation. And then we'll just sort of sit in awkward silence. So just in case we get any hands raised or any more comments. It looks like the link didn't work. Let me try something and see if I can open it by cutting out some of the extra pieces there. Carolyn, they're talking about the link to a Energy Trust report on the cost of solar that sort of aims to take a look at the impact of rebates. Yeah, I was able to access it by cutting out that Chrome piece, so I'll put a clean link in here. That worked for me. All right. So just checking in. Still don't see any new hands up. Oh, Shaway, you want to get back on? And please let me know if I'm.
Oh yeah, Shayu, I'm so
seeing-
sorry to belabor this point, but I think the information that industry and Energy Trust of Oregon has provided is interesting, but again, doesn't even ask the question, what is the outcome of these rebates and how they impact costs? Because you would expect costs to decrease with time and economies of scale, and just to show that there's no increase doesn't show that the rebate has doesn't have the unintended consequence of not getting to the end consumer. I think in order to answer the question, which is you just need to have a lot more straw buyers like me who are considering solar, and then Tesla, there are some other larger companies that may not participate in ODOE's approved solar contractor list, and then just compare like what's price competitive. And my hope is that now 2 years after I had searched, contractors are more price competitive. But I think what you'll find is that Tesla and large companies that have economies of scale are much more price competitive than kind of smaller contractors. Not to say that it's not wrong to support local contractors and local businesses that have higher operating costs and don't have the same economies of scale. But again, I think it's folly to point to costs haven't gone up, therefore the program is not padding contractor bottom lines. I think that data does not support the conclusion that's implied, because I think I can, even today, if I were to look at solar and storage from Tesla, I doubt there's a single contract in the Portland metro area that can beat that cost, even with these incentives.
Thanks for continuing to advocate for this. I don't want to be in the position of defending it or not or whatever. So, but I will just say thank you for continuing to share the thoughts. And I think there's some more chats that you seem to be reading just fine. So maybe just one on that topic about the cost of steel going up during the pandemic. I don't see any other hands up. I don't see any other comments. James, I could turn it over for you if you want to talk a little bit about next steps, and then we can hang out in awkward silence for a little while after we kind of close things down, just in case there's anything else, because we really do want to hear your opinions.
Yeah, definitely. So just as a reminder, we're kind of really early in the rulemaking process, and we want to gather as much feedback as possible. So we're holding these sessions. And we're also recognizing not everybody can make these sessions or think of things after them. So if you have any comments you want or have questions, please drop me an email. Hoping to get them all in by the end of the by Friday, October 6th, by the end of the week, so we can start moving on to the next step, which is kind of starting to gather in, is reviewing all those comments and drafting up the draft rules, which will then kind of go out for public comment once they're filed with the Secretary of State, and there'll be another comment period where you'll be able to submit written comment, and there'll also be another opportunity to provide some oral comments as well on the draft rules once they're kind of filed. So I want to thank everybody for attending. And if there's any questions about the program, or if people want to learn more, visit the program's website and or ask the program staff, Dale and Katie, drop them an email at the team's email address as well, which is on the screen here. And as Chrissy said, we're happy to hang out if people have more questions. But if not, have a lovely rest of your day, and thank you.
Now's the part where you all can go, and we'll just stick around in case anybody has any other questions or comments on their way out the door. Thank you so much to members of the public, contractors, advocates. We really appreciate you being here today.
Hello?
Hi, Caroline.
Yes. I just finished inputting the email addresses. Thank you. And I'm curious as to where I can read the procedure to the rule, not just the rules, but the procedure, the steps it will take to accomplish this project.
Yeah, I think what you're asking about, you're a customer and you want to get a solar rebate?
In reality, I'm a home care worker and I
Okay.
would like to share this information with those whose emails I have so that they can at least know about the possibility if they are in a position to do something about it and share the word around. So that's why I'm here. I happen to own my own home with my partner, and changes in when change is happening, I don't know when.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
honestly
in a
think-
limbo state in my own situation, but other people may be at least interested in learning about this.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. What I'm wondering about is if Katie or Dale, one of our two staff members, might be we have your email address, if it might be helpful for them to follow up with a link on our website to where there's kind of some basic information and to kind of answer any questions that you have.
Okay, I have
I think that seems like the best approach to me.
given you my name properly spelled and my
Yes,
email
got it.
address.
Yes,
So you
yes,
do
we-
actually have it.
Yeah, and I think Katie might have already emailed you with the PDF of the list of contractors.
I'm here and not in my email address, you see.
Yeah, that's fair. So Katie can maybe also follow up with just like a general link to our website since she's already started talking with you. To just suggest like, here's the link where there's some information on the program. We have a flyer that she could send, but I think that would be the best approach to get you what you need. And then you'll know somebody to ask questions too.
I thank you, and it's nice that it's practical. The time frame is practical. You're using the time that people have questions and ending when they stop their questions.
Yeah, that just seems like the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katie's gonna get in touch with you.
Super. Thank you for the info, and thank you for having this opportunity to research.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming today.
Okay. I'm making note. Katie to contact me. Super.
And I do see Angela Crowley Cook from OC is on the line too, and she's just recommending you can take that list of contractors you have now and getting 3 bids from solar. Getting 3 bids is always a good practice. And she also put a link in the chat about I'm not sure what it's for.
I see it says here, someone said direct folks to the Energy Trust of Oregon site to request bids. I respect the Energy Trust of Oregon if it's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So I guess they have, when I click on the link, I can't open it. So maybe when Katie emails you, she can also send that link and have it be one. When I try to open it, I can't. So.
Okay.
But that's might just be me right now.
Analysis bid. Maybe I've already gotten it. I don't know. I'll just rewrite it.
Yeah. Thanks, Carolyn, and sorry for having your name wrong earlier.
Such is life. I have my own typos.
I should have rationally thought it was Carolyn. I just couldn't get past the D.
Don't
All
worry.
right.
Don't worry.
All right. Well, anyone else have anything? I don't see any other hands up. Great. Okay. Well, appreciate everybody who's here, and we'll probably go ahead and drop off since we don't have any more questions and don't want to have the 4 people that are here just till the bitter end have to wait around, give everybody an extra 13 minutes back to their day.